Hey there friends, welcome back to the channel. My name is Sohum and today I'll be doing a double reaction and lyrical analysis to the amazing John Prine. We're going to be checking out the songs Sam Stone as well as In Spite of Ourselves. The second song features Iris Dement. Now on this channel, this is now my second time hearing John Prine, and all of the storytelling allegations are absolutely true. He is amazing at telling stories. He had a smile on my face from ear to ear the entire time. Honestly, the same with himself, the same in his audience. They were laughing the entire way through in the first performance that I heard. That's just good vibes, and it honestly reminds me of a time when I was in summer camp, and the camp counselors, they would have us sat around the fire, playing music, singing along, telling stories. Just pleasant energy. And as a kid, my favorite time even in school was story time. So there's a unique quality to John Prine's voice and storytelling that has me intrigued to hear more. And we're going to get to hear Iris Dement for the first time on this channel as well. So a lot to be excited for today, but before we dive in, let's thank Melvin the Reliable for making this donation request. And Melvin dedicates this to all of the Prine heads around the world. Thank you, Melvin. Now, let's jump in. We're just going to start with Sam Stone. Already the smile on his face.
Sam Stone came home to his wife and family after serving in the conflict overseas.
No, Sam is a soldier.
And the time that he served has shattered all his nerves and left a little shrapnel in his knee.
Oh, this is going to be a sad one.
But the morphine eased the pain, and the grass grew around his brain. Gave them all
grass grew around his brain.
He lacked.
What does that mean, grass grew around his brain? Does that make his brain fuzzier? If he's taking morphine, it dulls his senses?
And gave them all the confidence he lacked.
But also alleviates the pain?
With a purple heart and a monkey on his back.
A monkey on his back? Wow.
There's a hole in Daddy's arm where all the money goes.
Oh, that upright bass tone. That's
Jesus
pleasant.
Christ died for nothing, I suppose.
Oh. There's a hole in Daddy's arm where all the money goes. And then Jesus Christ died for nothing. I suppose this is this going to be about becoming addicted to morphine? Oh, it's such a, because I've heard this story a few times over, not in music, but just in the news, in street interviews, documentaries, where soldiers, they come home, they had suffered immense pain and continue to, and the only way to deal with it effectively and efficiently is through drugs such as morphine, and eventually over time they become addicted, dependent, and then spend their entire life trying to make money for it, but dragging, basically the world around them starts collapsing. Oh, it's terrible.
Money goes. And Jesus Christ died for nothing, I suppose.
Yeah, we're gonna analyze these lyrics for sure.
Little pictures have
There's a lot
years.
here.
Don't stop to count the years. Sweet songs never last too long on broken radios.
Chills.
Sam Stone's welcome home didn't last too long. He went to work when he'd spent his last dime.
Okay, all the money's out.
And Sammy
Used
took
up.
to stealing, but when he got that empty feeling for a $100 habit without overtime.
expensive too, yeah.
And the gold rolled through his veins like 1,000 railroad trains.
Oh, that's cool. The gold roared through his veins, almost like the gold rush. But what else rushes through your veins? But also gold, because the money lost in his arm, it's gold. It's all rushing through his body because you have to spend a lot to maintain the habit. Wow.
Like 1,000 railroad trains, and he's dismanding the hours that he chose, while the kids ran around wearing other people's clothes.
And they can't afford anything for their own kids.
There's a hole in Daddy's arm where all the money goes, and Jesus Christ died for nothing, I suppose.
And the way he delivers, I suppose, is almost so casual. It somehow simultaneously adds and removes the intensity of the song, because it's almost like casual. It's flippant. It's, I guess Jesus Christ died for nothing. I guess he went off, served his country, and had his knee obliterated for nothing because he's come back into a terrible addictive circumstance.
Died for nothing, I suppose. Little pictures have big ears, don't stop to count the years. Sweet songs never last too long on broken radios.
That's pretty.
Sam Stone was alone when he popped his last balloon, climbing walls while sitting in a chair.
Because now he's all alone. No one wants to be with him.
He played his last request while the room smelled just
so
like
he's alone.
With an overdose hovering in the air.
Melvin.
But life had lost its fun, and there was nothing to be done but trade his house that he bought on the GI Bill for a flag draped casket on a local hero's hill. There's a hole in Daddy's arm where all the money goes, and Jesus Christ died for nothing, I suppose.
I suppose.
Little pictures have big ears, don't stop to count the years. Sweet songs never last too long on broken radios.
Wow, is that all? Looks like it's cut off there. That is tremendously sad. I was not expecting that. And this is a story that affects so many veterans, especially in the United States. I see this on the news. I witness this in the streets of, very populous like urban cities and centers where veterans are struggling to make ends meet. They're on the street. They're struggling from PTSD, injuries acquired during their service, and it becomes infinitely challenging to undo some of these psychological traumas that come with war and being in just these very high pressure, stressful environments. And if you're physically ailed and, let's say in this case, your knee is destroyed, there's so much more to consider as well than just the psychological aspect. So I don't know how to word this. It all comes together in a very destructive manner for the lives of the family and the individual veteran here. And this is a story that I'm at least blessed enough to not have experienced something like this in my family firsthand, but I know, let's say people I think one or two degrees of separation removed who have suffered in this very way. It's ultimately very tragic because it's so hard to undo the trauma. Let's take a look at the lyrics here more closely. It looks like when I did the Googling, there's a verse or two that don't actually get sung in this performance. So we'll start where I believe the lyrics started, which is here. Sam Stone came home to his wife and family after serving in the conflict overseas. In the time he had served, he shattered all his nerves and left a little shrapnel in his knees. So even though he made his service, he did his service and he's come back home, he's still bringing a bit of that war with him, psychologically as well as physically, because the damage now is, without more improved health technology, is irreparable in his knees and his nerves. But the morphine eased the pain, and the grass grew round his brain and gave him all the confidence he lacked. With a purple heart and a monkey on his back. The grass growing around his brain is not something that I'm familiar with. Maybe there's a meaning to that phrase. Metaphor for the numbing effect of morphine addiction. Okay, so I think I had it roughly right in my assessment. So that easing of the pain allowed him to feel more confident, and now he's come back with this recognition. You get the purple heart, but there's also a monkey on your back. And I think it could look like several things, but the monkey may be that psychological trauma that's being carried, or feelings of, let's say, inadequacy, because it's both. You may feel like, wow, I did so much, but I'm also coming back a sort of fraction of myself back into the quote unquote real world. There's a hole in Daddy's arm where all the money goes, and Jesus Christ died for nothing, I suppose. This is probably the most wow kind of line in this song, because it immediately in my mind clicked like, oh my God, now the hole in his arm, that is a physical consequence of continued morphine injection. And that's where the money's going to, because you're unable to acquire that without money or some kind of criminal activity, right? Stealing the morphine. And it basically feels like, wow, all of this goodness that came from his service, we don't have to get into geopolitics or whatever, but let's just imagine the service was something completely good for the world, and now he's coming back and things aren't better necessarily. You died for nothing. Everything was of no consequence, and now you just have this hole in your wallet, hole in your arm and heart. Little pitchers have big ears, don't stop to count the years. Sweet songs never last too long on broken radios. These lines here, I wasn't or at least this line in particular, I wasn't exactly sure what it was referring to. Little pitchers, meaning kids playing t-ball and they're little pitchers. And why do they have big ears? Maybe they're great listeners. I don't want to overanalyze this one in the wrong direction. Don't stop to count the years. Sweet songs never last too long on broken radios. So this to me here feels like he himself, Sam Stone, is now the quote-unquote broken radio. No matter what, he's a fraction, again, a former shadow of himself. He doesn't have to be, that doesn't have to be the case, but in so many of these situations it ends up becoming that way. So any songs, any moments of life that are sweet and would be enjoyable are, again, dampened by the effects of morphine. Because also think about it like this: if you're taking morphine to ease the pain in most of your day, the actual other experiences you may be feeling where you would be happy are also impacted by the overuse of morphine in another environment. Basically a consequence of how it impacts your dopaminergic system. Because if you overdraw from that system in one domain, it's hard to compartmentalize that. It's all your own body's physiology and chemistry. Sam Stone's welcome home didn't last too long. He went on to work when he'd spent his last dime. And Sammy took to stealing when he got that empty feeling for $100 habit without overtime. I guess here the only thing I can say is this is a structural pivot in the song, or I guess structural parallel moment in the song, because before we reference Sam coming home, but now we have a similar section where he's welcome home is not lasting long anymore, and he's now trying to make ends meet locally. So the story has progressed forward. Again, the gold rushed through his veins like 1,000 railroad trains, eased his mind in the hours that he chose, while the kids ran around wearing other people's clothes. So morphine, again, it's going to have its half-life. It'll end, I don't know how many hours after taking it, but there is an end to its effects. And if you can't afford that much, or over time you build a tolerance, then he is the only one who can select how much time he's going to be using it for and when. And oftentimes those injections coincide with when the kids are suffering now. As a consequence, they don't have food on the table for themselves. They don't have the clothes anymore because they're growing, and they're just getting hand-me-downs from others because of the financial burden of the addiction. There's a hole in Daddy's arm. I think this is a repetition here. Then the story progresses once more. Sam Stone was alone when he popped his last balloon, climbing walls while sitting in a chair. He's alone now. Whatever family life he had, it seems to have fallen apart, and he's climbing walls. He's going crazy while sitting in a chair. Mentally, he's projecting himself in other environments, doing more than he's capable of, but he's just almost decaying. He played his last request while the room smelled just like death, with an overdose hovering in the air. Life had lost its fun, and there was nothing to be done. Betrayed his house that he bought on the GI Bill for a draped casket on a local hero's hill. There's nothing left. All of the happiness in life is gone. He only feels pain. There's nothing more to experience. The overdose is the best way out for him, and is the likely path for him to take, given all of the hardships he's dealt with. And now he's trading it in for death. Everything that he had built his life towards, all of the service, is amounting to nothing. Again, Jesus Christ died for nothing, I suppose. This was not what I was expecting. It is a very, very tragic song. And again, it's about the lives of so many people, especially in the United States, who come back injured, come back with different traumas, and the families are unable to support them, or addictions form and make life unexpectedly more challenging. Because you can imagine, like, okay, you did this service, you went through these harrowing, stressful experiences, and now you come back home and things should be way better. It should be heaven on earth in comparison, but instead it's just a different set of problems that you're dealing with, because you cannot leave that baggage of that war zone behind, physically or psychologically. Wow. Yeah, with with the first song we reacted to, I was not expecting this. Definitely from a musical perspective, a enjoyable listen, but just wasn't what I was expecting at all. Let's check out the next one, In Spite of Ourselves.
Iris, you sing these songs like you know them, you know? Well, I knew somewhere in the record I was going to have to get around to writing one. So this one here, I actually wrote it for a movie. I was in a movie last year. I guess it's coming out around Christmas. And me and Billy Bob Thornton play brothers in it, and Andy Griffith is our dad. That makes me like Opie's stepbrother, you know? So Billy Bob asked me to write this, or to write a song for the ending of the movie, and I asked him, I said, I don't understand when you write a song for a movie. I said, are you supposed to talk about them or not talk about them? You know, I said, because sometimes I go to movies and a song comes on, it's like your alarm radio went off in your hotel room, you know? I said, what the heck's that?
A small note, I think I made it during my first John Prine reaction, but his speaking voice is just so pleasant to listen to. I just want to hear him talk, frankly.
like your alarm radio went off in your hotel room, you know? I said, what the heck's that song doing in here? So Billy Bob just said, So I just went and wrote this song here, and kind of based it loosely, real loosely, on a couple of characters in the film. It's called In Spite of Ourselves.
I should note that I have not seen the original movie.
She don't like her eggs all runny. She thinks that crossing her legs is funny. She looks down her nose at money. She gets it on like the Easter bunny. She's my baby, I'm her honey. I'm never gonna let her go.
All the quirks.
Well, he ain't got laid in a month of Sundays. I caught him once and he was sniffing my undies. He ain't real sharp, but he gets things done. Drinks his beer like it's oxygen. But he's my baby and I'm his honey. I'm never gonna let him go.
In spite of ourselves, we'll end up sitting on a rainbow. Against all odds, honey, we're the big door prize. We're gonna spite our noses right off of our faces. There won't be nothing but big old hearts dancing in our eyes.
I don't know that idiom very well. Like, we're gonna spite our nose to cut off our face or right off of our faces. I've heard roughly that structure before, so I'm gonna have to quickly Google this one. Spite our noses. Let's see, to cut off our face. Cut our faces, meaning. Expression is a slightly altered version of the idiom cut off one's nose to spite one's face. It means to do something that harms yourself more than it harms the person or thing you're trying to punish or to get revenge on. Do something that harms yourself more than it harms the person or thing you're trying to punish. Oh, I see. It's like you're sort of making somebody feel guilty by bearing a lot of the weight of that punishment, whatever it may be. A lot of manipulators do this. It seems like they're happy together. They have their quirks and flaws, and they're spiting their noses together.
She thinks all my jokes are corny. Convict movies make her horny. She likes ketchup on her scrambled eggs. Swears like a sailor when she shaves her legs. She takes a licking and keeps on ticking. I'm never gonna let her go.
Well, he's got more balls than a big brass monkey. He's a whacked out weirdo and a love bug junkie. Sly as a fox, crazy as a loon. Payday comes and he's a howling at the moon. But he's my baby, I don't mean maybe. I'm never gonna let him go.
It's so sweet.
In spite of ourselves, we'll end up sitting on a rainbow. Against all odds, honey, we're the big door prize.
The big door prize.
Oh, we're gonna spite our noses right off of our faces. There won't be nothing but big old hearts dancing in our eyes. There won't be nothing but big old hearts dancing in our eyes. In spite of ourselves.
These are really, really pretty songs. I love the the meaning here as I'm sort of like picking it apart. Really, like, just enjoyable energy. There's not much in terms of like melodic dynamics, but once you've kind of settled into that rhythm, the groove, then the storytelling is the most captivating element of everything here. And you can hear it in the inflection in their voices. You can hear it, you can see it visually with the expressions on their faces. And, I think it's just very pleasant is what I want to say. Let's take a look at these lyrics here. I'll make the screen a little bit bigger. So we started off, she don't like her eggs all runny. She thinks crossing her legs is funny. She looks down her nose at money. She gets it on like the Easter bunny. She's my baby. I'm her honey. I'm never going to let her go. This is almost like verse 1A, because immediately what follows is verse 1B, where the male voice is singing, then the female voice is singing, but it's both parts of the relationship. He's commenting on all of her quirks, the things that makes her unique and special. And despite it all, she's my baby. I'm her honey. We're together in this, and we're never going to let each other go. That's, I think a fairly easy takeaway, but, it's nice to see. You don't really get a lot of songs in this like structural format where it's him singing to her and then her singing back to him. So then she says, he ain't got laid in a month of Sundays. I caught him once and he was sniffing my undies. He ain't too sharp, but he gets things done. Drinks his beer like it's oxygen. He's my baby and I'm his honey, never gonna let him go. Like, he thinks he's getting more than he's actually getting, but he can work off of just a little bit, and it works in our relationship dynamic. It's a very like funny and earnest way to kind of call out the different ebbs and flows in the relationship, because like, I think I understand you, you think you understand me, all of the possibilities of understanding are there, but we're also like two different puzzle pieces that have like morphed their way together in unique ways that they make sense to others. Sometimes they don't make sense to ourselves. Again, all of the combinations are possible there, but at the end, we are each other's babies, never gonna let them go. Then the chorus, in spite of ourselves, we'll end up sitting on a rainbow against all odds, honey. We're the big door prize. We're going to spite our noses right off of our faces. There won't be nothing but big old hearts dancing in our eyes. This is like one of the most romantic choruses ever, because it's like, hey, no matter all of the issues that we introduce in our relationship or the problems that we are just as individuals, in spite of all of that, we are going to always be together. We are always going to be on top of that rainbow. We are always going to be the big door prize. There's so much to our relationship that even if things go off the rails momentarily, we are what everybody else wants for their relationship. This is true love that persists, and it's the choice. You're choosing each other every single day, and that's the thing that matters most. So there's always big old hearts dancing in our eyes. There's always love there. She thinks all my jokes are corny. Convict movies make her horny. She likes ketchup on her scrambled eggs. Swears like a sailor when she shaves her legs. She takes a licking and keeps on ticking. I'm never going to let her go. Yeah, she's durable. She's a horny. She's human is what she is, and I love her, and she's going to be with me forever. And then the same thing, but in reverse. He's got more balls than a big brass monkey. He's whacked out weirdo and a love bug junkie. Sly as a fox, as crazy as a loon. Payday comes in, he's howling at the moon. I love how it's like good thing paired with bad thing, or good thing paired with quirk, bad thing paired with quirk. Like, it's just a real accounting of my partner, and I love them. I'm going to be with them. This is us. And then we just get the repetition at the end. In spite of ourselves, we'll end up sitting on a rainbow against all odds, honey. We're the big door prize. We're going to spite our noses right off our faces. There won't be nothing but big old hearts dancing in our eyes. I really like that song. And it's interesting, it is so different from the first one that we heard, Sam Stone. It just feels like John, and in this case we have Iris too, they have a very good grasp of the different situations that we find ourselves in as humans. Because some situations are hard, as we listen to in Sam Stone, and invariably tragic. Other situations are something that we all strive towards, like great, happy, healthy relationships where love is the thing that holds us together through everything, despite it all. my camera doesn't want to ever stay online, so I wish there was a solution for that. I like John Prine's style. I like the simplicity in song structure. It just allows the story to be told in a way that is quickly digestible. Now, I know I spent at this point 30 minutes going through the lyrics, but it's also because I feel like it deserves a bit of that patient touch, you know? And also for me, I'm just like sinking my teeth into the world of John Prine. Maybe we'll get some more John Prine requests on the channel. I would definitely be down for that. I'm having a lot of fun with these songs and analyzing the lyrics as well, because that's where the meat of it is, in my opinion. The melodies are pretty and they never detract from the song, but they're also not so complex or out there or dynamic that my attention goes to it necessarily. The biggest distinction I think we can even point out is that in the first song with Sam Stone, there was the inclusion of that upright bass that added a lot of emotional depth and almost that like aching feeling of like we know something inevitable and tragic is to come, and it's scary on the way there, but the music makes it that much more beautiful because at least it's this like self-encapsulated journey. And then the inclusion of Iris in the second track today, we get to hear a bit of how he contrasts vocally with another singer, and she had a bit of twang to her voice that made it feel like they were literally a happily married couple who know their quirks, know their partner's triggers and behaviors, and it just felt very real. That's my takeaway for that. But that's all I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed the reaction. If you did and would like to make a request yourself, you can do so by clicking the first link down below. But as always, my friends, have a wonderful rest of your day. Take care and peace.